The Zulu people say, ulwazi luvela olwandle. The knowledge comes from the sea. Our people believe that many centuries ago, a race of intelligent creatures of various kinds chaperoned the human race into this world in which we are in exile. And members of this race went into the sea to become what we today call dolphins, amahlengetho. Over the centuries, dolphins and whales sent knowledge via dreams to human beings. The whales told us all about God. The dolphins told us all about wisdom and art and other forms of positive creativity. We black people believe that these dolphins are not fishes. They are amahlengetho, the saviors. They are people. They have a kingdom under the sea. They have stories that they tell to their children. And they have hopes for the future. We say that they came with their great emperor Wowane from the star called Sirius by the white people many millennia ago.
Credo is what some people around the world call a shaman, and some deeply ignorant people call a witch doctor. And to give him his official title, he's a Sanusi in the Zulu nation. Sanusi is the carrier, the keeper of the ancient knowledge of so much, including the ancient knowledge of history of Africa, where all this came from, where the people came from, what the truth of history is, instead of the largely nonsensical version of history that we get through the universities and the schools from very well-educated professors who know. There are only 2 Sanusis left in South Africa. Credo is one. And that's terrifying, because it means the true version of the history of this continent is dying.
I had entered school as a child of 14 years, and when I became a Sangoma, I was a youth of 16 years. And what my aunt and my grandfather, as well as my maternal grandmother, taught me, shook me to the core of my soul. In some places in Southern Africa, if you wanted to learn the secrets of a certain secret society, you had to do dreadful things which I cannot repeat here. My teacher said, look, how far are you willing to go in order to become one of us? I said, I am willing to go in. He looked at me and he said, listen, educated man, we are tired of people like you. White men come amongst us to milk our minds and then to kill us. We want to be sure that we can trust. They went into a graveyard, and from there they removed the head of a corpse, dead 2 days, and they brought it and they challenged me to cook it and eat it. I did so. And these were the people who first told me about a race of highly intelligent beings, which they called the Chitauri, the talkers, a race of creatures which look like reptiles, who have ruled the world for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Through this dreadful act, I was able to gain knowledge which was denied to even the highest Sangomas, because they would not go through the ritual I went through. The people of Africa have been coexisting, really coexisting, with alien beings from the stars for tens of thousands of years. The wise men and the wise women of our people believed that ours was not the only world in which intelligent creatures are to be found. Ours was not the only world in which the song of life is heard. It is an insult to believe that God, the great planter of life, only planted life upon this, our shabby little world. No, there are other worlds besides ours. There are other worlds beside our Mother Earth, upon which life exists. The Africans even went on to describe 14 of these worlds. The first encounter between Africans and extraterrestrial beings occurred more than 7,000 years ago in a now forgotten part of Africa. Out of the skies, we are told, there descended a fearsome object, a huge spherical object with many things protruding out of it. This spherical object descended to earth with a sound like 1,000 thunderstorms. It is said that a door opened in this strange metallic sphere, and out of the sphere there came a long line of strange creatures, creatures that walked like human beings, creatures that had webbed feet and webbed hands, creatures that had the faces of fishes but the bodies of human beings. The leading creature lifted up its stick and its right hand, and it addressed the people as follows: people of this world, we are the Numu people. We come from the land of the star of Kiri-Dahu. We come from the star you know as the star of the red dog. Listen to our words, because we have been sent by a very high one in a high place to make certain truths known to you. The creature told our people that the race of humanity was once great amongst the stars, that human beings were once the leading race in the great cluster of stars, the galaxy. The creature said that because human beings were so vicious, so aggressive towards other intelligent creatures and towards living things in general, a great war broke out amongst the stars as several worlds joined forces against the human race, fought it and drove it away from the center of the great star flower to seek refuge in this forgotten world of ours. The Numu or the Normal told the people that if we human beings could get rid of hatred, if we could get rid of war, if we could get rid of disease, if we could get rid of selfishness, the great gathering of the star worlds would once more receive us with open arms to take once more our rightful place in the great kingdom of the worlds. The Numu taught us that we must at all times respect the earth upon which we live. The Numu told us that our earth, the earth in which we live, was artificially created in order to breed and to sustain life which would then spread to other worlds amongst stars beyond number. The Numu said, "Oh, earth-dwelling brothers and sisters, you must understand who you really are. You must understand how great you are. You must understand how great you once were. And you must know that a living thing that does not spread out to the stars sooner or later dies out. And that if you do not follow us into the dark spaces above, you shall exterminate your earth and eventually shall exterminate yourselves. And the earth, which is a womb world, a breeder of life, will be once more empty of living things." Do we who come from the star of the red dog feel a pact between ourselves and you human beings? By this gesture, do we promise this, that if you get rid of war amongst yourselves, if you get rid of arrogance and quarrelsomeness, if you banish disease and bid farewell to hunger and poverty, then we the noble shall return, and we the noble shall take you by the hand and lead you, human beings, to the throne of the stars. The normal people were seen once and once only, and their ships never visited this earth again. We do not know why.
What is your experience and your knowledge of an extraterrestrial involvement in the history of Africa?
There was once a time when the blue sky was invisible, when the whole world was covered with mist, when you could not see the sun as it is now. You only saw it as a splash of white light moving slowly across the sky. At that time, there was an eternal drizzle every day of the year. At that time, people could not see the stars. People only saw the trees growing, trees which were very, very big. There was no desert at that time, only jungle everywhere where you went. And out of the sky, one day came terrible objects. They were like gigantic balls made of huge gleaming gold. They were shaped like bows without strings, and they were bigger than the biggest mountain. They came out of the sky, bringing great noise, black smoke, and fire with them. And out of those huge objects came them. When the Chitauri arrived in Africa, they told our people that they were gods and that they were going to give us human beings great gifts on one condition. We had to worship them and accept them as our creators. Some told our people that they were our elder brothers and that this earth had produced them generations ago. And they said they had come back to the green womb of their mother and that they were going to make us into gods. But the Chitauri were now the masters of human beings. They made the human beings to go into holes in the ground and to mine metal, gold, copper, tin, all kinds of metal the Chitauri forced our people to mine. And so it went on and on until one day Nzarantwari activated a black hero called Mweru. And Mweru challenged the great chief of the serpent people to a fight. And he cut off the royal penis of the king of the snake people. And that caused a big war. Mweru ran away. But Umbaba, the terrible chief of the people, caught him and arrested him and brought him to his village. And there, the great chief Orontwari Umbaba said, look, you cut off my thing, and I have replaced it with one made of gold, and I can't make love to my wife anymore. You think too much, you wretched human being. Now, Umbaba had a terrible nail in one of his hands, a claw. And with this claw, he drove the claw into poor Mweru's nostril, making a terrible hole into his brain, and he started drinking the Mweru's brain, and then he threw away the corpse. To this day, we believe that the people, the Chitauri people, they eat human brain. And strangely enough, scientists have found skulls where the human brain has been removed and eaten by someone or something. A man like me shouldn't bother himself about it. I worry about people. It's sickening. I have ruined my life because of worrying about people. I feel that I want to take every human being on this earth by the shoulders, shake them roughly and say, listen, bastard, there is more to this earth than you think. Say, I have seen the cheetah. I have smelled them. I've had personal experience of these. And there are people who claim that these creatures are gods. There are people who claim that these creatures are experimenting on us. That is a lot of rubbish. These creatures are harvesting us. These creatures are not aliens, Mr. Ike. These creatures are sexually compatible with our women. And what does that tell you? It tells you that they came from here. They are part of us. And this makes them all the more dangerous. They know us very, very, very well. They know the great weaknesses of our minds, just as they know the great strengths of our minds. They operate in what I call the gray area of human existence, that side of our lives which we don't want to acknowledge the existence of. They create, African tradition says that the Chitauri, where they engaged God himself in a terrible war, and God defeated them, the real God, Ngulunkulu, the creator. God defeated them, and he closed their mouths so that they are unable to talk or to eat food anymore. But we are told, Fred, that the Chitauri threaten on the energy that we human beings give them. They make us to fight each other. And when the whole land is drowning in death and fear and terror, when hundreds and hundreds of people are angry and afraid, the Chitauri get fed because they eat what we call the dark power, which is brought about when human beings destroy the planet on which they live. We are told that the Chitauri eat energy which is generated when hundreds of human minds or one human mind starts thinking at certain levels. That
we human beings have got a blind spot in our brains. And this is what the Chitauri and other alien nasty boys are exploiting. And these alien creatures, they know our weakness. They know that very often we human beings tend to censor what we see. If you are an educated professor and you see a spook, your educated mind will refuse to accept what it is saying. You will reject it and throw it to the back burner of your brain, and it will stay there. Hundreds of us see very strange things every day, but we refuse to accept what we see. So, there are certain vaccination things that are done to our children which rob them of the ability of seeing spiritual entities. Believe me, I can prove this. Our grandmothers used to give us great pain in order to save our spiritual eyes. They used to heat grains of maize, and then they would heat this grain of maize, and using a piece of wood as tweezers, place it firmly against the skin of the child. So when the school inspector came, he saw these blisters and assumed that the child had been vaccinated, but in fact it had not. And this was done to us many, many times. And I noticed that school children in mission schools who had been vaccinated for smallpox or for measles could not see spiritual entities at all. A ndondo, that is a flying saucer, a Sputnik, would fly through the sky at great speed and be seen by many men and women. But the child who has been vaccinated would see nothing. And I noticed this hundreds of times.
I began wondering, what's going on in this world? But I did not have to wonder long. One day, I was with a relative of mine, and he told me that we must climb higher up the mountain slope to search for the herb for which our teacher, whose apprentices we were, had told us to find on the slopes of these mountains. A strange blue mist fell all around me. It was like a blue haze, a bright blue haze that seemed to fill the whole land all around me. For a few amazed moments, I looked at the landscape through this strange, shimmering blue haze. I regained consciousness to find myself lying upon what looked like a metal working table. I was lying on top of this thing and I was naked. And the fact dully registered in my mind. It was as if I was under the influence of some kind of drug or spell, in that I observed all these things with a strange detachment. I was just lying there on the table, not moving a muscle. I was on my back. And then, through the haze, I saw things moving. They looked like dolls. They looked so incredible that I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My mind faintly registered the spectacle, These things were moving towards me. There were 5 of them, and before I knew what was happening, one of them, the tallest and the largest by far, was very, very close to me. This creature was something to be feared, I sensed. There was something cold and unbelievably unfriendly in the creature's expression. And the next moment, a terrible scream was torn out of my lips as a burning pain seared into my thigh. I turned my head, forcing it to turn, and I saw that one of the creatures had buried something that looked like a flexible cable in my left thigh, and the pain was horrible. And even now, I remember that and much more with a shudder. This creature pushed something into my nose, my right nostril, and there was a burst of pain that was so excruciating that I don't know whether I screamed or not. It was a maelstrom of agony. It was a storm of anguish. After that, my body just became numb. I could feel the creatures doing more painful things in parts of my body. They drained something from my organ of manhood, subjecting me to a deep feeling of horror, shame, and terror. To them, it was a duty of some kind, a duty which was attended by a desperation and an efficiency that was literally out of this world. Their faces were totally unreadable, and they said nothing. They only seemed to communicate with each other in a series of squeaks and rattling sound and hisses. Many times I wanted the creatures to tell me what they were torturing me for. What had I done? But they did not even say a word. They did not even make a single recognizable gesture of apology to me. They didn't.